series.
Great.
What a great surprise it was. I was like totally wrapped up in it. I'm talking about Station 11 first, but really wrapped up with it from like the first minutes in. So just incredible.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it was really incredible to be a part of, and I loved it too.
So I learned that doing a little bit of research that you started in Hoboken, which coincidentally, I'm in Jersey City. So
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay.
Are you from Hoboken? You're a Jersey kid?
I live in Hoboken. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, we
Yeah.
might have passed each other on the street.
Maybe, possibly.
My first question, how do you get from Hoboken to Hollywood? How did that happen?
So basically I don't know if you know this theater called Mile Square Theater in Hoboken. It's a pretty small theater, but it's a professional theater. It's a really great theater. My friend owns it. And there was a play going on, a 2-person play, and it was for like a 9-year-old girl and a 70-year-old man called The Net Will Appear. And my dad's an actor, and so is my mom. And they didn't really have an interest for me to get into the business because they've been through it, and I was a really, really shy kid, and they were like, this isn't for you. But then I convinced them to let me audition because all my friends were auditioning. So I auditioned and really ended up getting the part, which really was quite a shock. And from there, my agent saw the show and I just fell in love with acting. And then I was able to keep on doing it. And yeah.
It's always interesting because I speak to a lot of people who are like in their 50s, not 15 or 14. So
Yeah.
It's interesting to hear a very, you just started a few years ago professionally.
Yeah,
So
very lucky. I'm very lucky to be able to begin this way because a lot of people have so much talent, but they just don't have the resources.
Yeah, sometimes you just get lucky. There's like that moment, being in the right place at the right time. But you have to have the skill and you have to have the motivation, the self, the drive to make it happen too. So
for sure.
So when you joined the series, Station 11, how much of it did you know about? How much did you understand? Because the world changed about, shortly into your production. And it was like, to have this subject matter that's pretty dark and scary, and then suddenly see the world change around you to kind of match your work. What was that like?
Just unbelievable. It was like really, really frightening, to be honest. I feel like it goes both ways, like art imitates life and then life kind of imitates art, or whatever that saying is. So just really strange. I had read the book and I loved the book, and so did my family. And I had the first few scripts of like the first few episodes. So I knew what that was, and I knew the script was great, and I knew that the people involved were great. So I really wanted to work with these people, which gave me a lot of drive. And the audition scenes were also fantastic. So I knew that this was something I wanted to give my all to. So I tried really hard in the audition. But you kind of, in any project, you go in a bit blind. You never know what the final product's going to be. You never know the changes that are going to be made. So you kind of have to put your faith into it and just hope for the best. And we got really lucky with this one. So many talented people, and I love the way it turned out. So, but that doesn't always happen. So I guess, and now I'm losing my train of thought. Where was it? What?
Well, I was asking more about, we'll get into that as well, but I was curious, was it scary? How did people react on set when suddenly the world kind of fell apart?
Yeah, right. So it was so strange. Like, we had just started this show on a pandemic, and then a pandemic happens. Like, when does that happen? So I was like weirded out a bit. I think we all were, but at the same time, we were all kind of like comforted to have this like piece of art to kind of come back to and work on as a group, and like it made this hard time a lot easier for us, and it was kind of a place where it was our outlet. Yeah.
Mhm. And then when it picked back up, like you did have a pause, right?
Yeah.
In production. Yeah. So then when it picks back up, you're kind of what you have to work from is now reality instead of pretend, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it helps you understand your characters on just a deeper level, because you've experienced the same thing, but not on the same scale. You've
Mhm.
experienced,
Thank God.
yeah, thank God. Yeah.
So you work with Himesh Patel quite a bit. What was that experience like? You get all this time and a lot of one-on-one time. So and probably I'm assuming it's kind of like a brother sister type relationship. Was he? Did he help you with things, or did you help him? And how did that all come together?
Well, I've always been a really big fan of Himesh, because I saw Yesterday and
Mhm.
I loved him in that. I was obsessed with that movie. So I was a big fan from the start. And then when I saw that he was attached to this project, I really I really wanted to work with him. So I was really excited about that. And just he's like no other person I've ever worked with before. He has this presence that he brings to any scene. It's this kind of like wise presence, and he just thinks so deeply about every little thing, and he's just so there and generous and such a good human being, but also just a great actor to work with. So we really enjoyed like playing around with Kirsten and his relationship, uh, because it's always changing. It's always like switching. Like 1 minute Kirsten's the adult and he's the kid, and then 1 minute uh Kirsten's the kid and he's taking care of her. So it kind of switches. And I feel like our relationship was like that too. It felt like we were equals on set, which I can say that for every person. I felt like I was an equal with everyone, which as a child, you do not get that. So that was really, really special, like really valuable for me. And I'm so grateful for that. And just working with him was amazing.
That's wonderful. It's great. It comes across on screen. There's that great chemistry too. So it's like it doesn't feel. There's a lot of times you watch, especially with an adult and a child, and you can tell they're reading lines, and this just feels natural. So
Yeah,
that's
thank
always,
you. Thank you.
especially in a situation like this, it's very important for you to be immersed in it and to believe the scenario. I
Yeah.
mean, just the opening moments, them in the supermarket when she starts still trying to get a grasp on what's going on. He's holding back information. It's
Yeah.
just like I
Yeah.
don't know. It works. It works. Which obviously that's why people are praising it, and you're getting such kind words uh, written about you and now spoken about you. So moving on a little bit, Mackenzie Davis. So she plays the older version
Yeah.
of your character. Did you have? I don't recall. I don't think you had screen time together. Did you?
In episode 7, we did actually.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So go ahead. I'm sorry.
We because she comes back to look at her self when she was younger. She's kind of back. I don't know if I'm spoiling anything, but anyways, so we did have time together, which was amazing.
Okay. It's a year old, so I think if someone's watching this, they probably already watched the series at this point.
Okay, true.
So yeah, I'm very cautious about spoilers, so I don't
Okay.
want to. But so did you work together to kind of make sure you play the character in the same way, like look at her the way she moves and speaks, or vice versa?
This is a question we get all the time, like a lot, which I don't mind because it's a good question. But basically we had a couple Zoom calls, maybe one actually, just to get to know each other on a human level. So we just like got to know each other and became friends basically. But we never really talked about Kirsten and things. I think she kind of pulled more of the work, pulled more of the weight in that area. Like, I think she observed me, maybe some of my mannerisms. I'm not even sure, but we were just, there was so much that happened in between my Kirsten and her Kirsten that we didn't have to be exactly alike. There's just so much growth that happens that you don't see in the show. And also, I think just everyone was kind of automatically like, you guys just automatically are kind of similar. You just have this human connection or similarity. And so that worked in our favor.
Yeah, because when the jump happens, it feels natural. Again, that happens too with casting when you say, that's how are they the same? Who cast this? But in this situation, in this situation, it really works out well.
Yeah.
So pretty much you're essentially making two different series. You have the way past the very beginning of it, and then you have the more recent where you're starting to hang out with the troupe and all that. What was that experience like playing two completely, did you shoot all of it at once for the city scenes? And
we didn't shoot all of them at once. It was kind of weirdly mixed together. I think that we got most of my stuff done in the beginning. So we shot the first and the third episode before the pandemic hit. And then after the height of the pandemic, we came back and we filmed episode 7 and the other episodes that I was in. And then you shot some of Mackenzie's stuff and all the others and the Traveling Symphony stuff. And so their stuff, I said stuff so many times in this sentence.
That's all right.
But they finished off mostly. Like mine was in the beginning. Theirs was mostly the end. Yeah.
And how did the experience differ from playing those two different parts of that character's life?
I have no idea because I wasn't. What do you mean, like
for you before in the earlier part, she doesn't know anything about what's going on, and later on, she's obviously much more adjusted to the scenario.
Oh, right. Okay. It was really fun for me to play and actually worked well with the timing of the pandemic because the stuff that I had filmed first, most of that was before she had really understood what was happening. And then the pandemic hit and I experienced it firsthand and then was able to bring that into my interpretation of the character or my performance of the character. So that worked, that helped me for sure. And I loved something that really drew me to Kirsten to begin with was that she just goes through such a transformation. She doesn't stay the same at all. And I really love characters that do that. It's always so fun for the actor to play.
And is there anything that you took away from this? What's the biggest lesson you've learned from working on this series?
Oh my gosh. I've learned so many lessons. I guess one of the things I've learned is that you don't have to work with jerks to make something beautiful. You can work with people that are creative and treat you so well, and you can make something amazing. So I think I've learned I'm not going to put up with jerks just to make art. I want to work with good people, and that makes something even greater, I think.
And you only should.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have the Gilded Age, you have the Santa Clauses, Station 11. It's a pretty busy, this is just over the last few years. So do you have time to fit in being a kid and all the normal stuff?
Yeah, I mean, actually, it feels like that takes up most of my time, being a kid. Because I am a kid. What am I saying? It takes up all my time. But I go to school. What I mean is school feels like it takes up most of my time. My life feels like school. So then it's always really nice for me to have those few months that I can get out and go out into the world and meet new people and work on something. And then I come back and I'm a kid again and I do school. And then maybe a little bit later I get to go. But it feels like I get to be lucky and I get to be a kid. Yeah. My
Yeah,
family, we're always very like, we make sure that that's the priority. And then, yeah.
yeah, it's like I have two daughters and I see how busy they are, and I can't imagine fitting into that television series and films and all that. It's like,
I have a lot of people to help me, a lot of people
that's
to
awesome.
my schedule and stuff. Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's great to have great parents.
Oh yeah, it is. I would not
So
be.
speaking of the Santa Claus, can you just tell me a little bit about it? You play the chief of staff. You get to work with Tim Allen. You get to be part of this. It's now a cinematic universe, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
How was that experience?
It was just so much fun. I wanted to do something in comedy, so I was excited to do something different than I'd done before. So that's what really drew me to the Santa Clauses. And I loved my character, Betty. She's the head elf or chief of staff, and she's like the woman behind the curtain. She like makes sure everything's under control. She really makes sure that everyone's doing what they're supposed to be doing. Anyways, long story short, the North Pole, Christmas would not exist without her. Just saying. So Betty, she was really fun for me to play. And it's just a very, really heartwarming, fun Christmas show to watch. And I think lots of younger kids will love it. And also the people who watched it as kids will love it because it's like very nostalgic.
Mm-hmm. And how is it transferring from or transitioning from these darker series that are much more adult to a holly jolly series? You know, like as an actress, you haven't had, at least on film, you haven't had a ton of opportunity to take on these roles. So what's that like?
It feels almost wrong. Like, I don't know, because you've just been in this dark place and doing this whole thing, and then suddenly you're in the North Pole and and everything's different there, and it doesn't feel wrong. It just feels so strange. Like I guess that's the life of an actor or an actress. Like you're just constantly moving and like getting immersed in different stories and characters and worlds. It feels strange. I loved working on Santa Clauses. It was very refreshing, but I miss the dark kind of stories. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy because, you know, imagine if they connected the two and somehow Kirsten became the head elf. You know, and they should get a writer on that. Combine it all, and you can have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
And how was working with Tim Allen?
Oh, he was great. He was really funny, honestly. Just really just hilarious to work with. He is kind of like the real Santa Claus. Like if you give him a hug, it's like hugging Santa Claus. He's in really good shape, but like he kind of gives those teddy bear hugs. And his daughter, Elizabeth Allen, I also got to work with her, and she's just fantastic too. So yeah.
Great. And are you a fan of Christmas movies and Christmas specials?
Of course, I get into Christmas way too early, probably. But
When did you start listening to music?
Some
February.
people, very controversial. Imagine. No, I start watching like a few days after Halloween, maybe. So yeah, but I'm obsessed with Christmas. So of course I watch every Christmas. I love Hallmark Christmas movies. I've watched way too many of those.
Yeah, we haven't stepped into those, but we start pretty early as well because there's so much new content coming out.
Oh
And you
yeah.
feel, and as busy as people are, if you wait till Christmas season, you tend to, you know, either cram it all in or miss it. So, you know, start early.
Exactly.
Eat Halloween candy and watch Christmas specials.
Perfect.
Do you have a favorite Christmas movie or special?
I know a lot of Christmas movies that aren't common because I watch like ones that aren't very well known a lot. So there's one called The Christmas Project, which is just an iconic Christmas movie for my sister and I. So we love it.
I don't know that one. How about songs? You have a favorite song?
It's not very well known. My favorite Christmas song. I love Michael Bublé, Christmas, his album. Yeah, we listen to that a lot. Phoebe Bridgers came out with a new Christmas album, which I liked too. So lots of good Christmas music coming out.
I'll add those to the queue. All right, let me wrap up with a simple one. 3 words to describe Kirsten.
Oh my gosh.
Let's double this up. 3 words to describe Kirsten as you portrayed her, and then 3 words to describe her as Mackenzie portrayed her. Maybe it's not that simple. Sorry.
Yeah, this is not very. Can you help me out here? Do you want to get together on this?
I'll try.
Okay, so
you can use hyphens or a sentence. You could be a phrase.
Survivor. Family seeker. And artist.
Those are good. Do you want to keep those for Mackenzie's as well?
Yeah, I think they apply to both, I think.
Yeah, I think they do. So fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time, and best of luck. I'm looking forward to the Santa Clauses. I did catch an episode, but I'm going to watch it with the family. You have to.
Okay.
I have to wait. So it's the rule in the house.
All right. Yeah.
All right. Well, best of luck going forward. And you're going to be at the Gotham Awards?
Yes, I am.
Well, if you see me on the red carpet, say hello.
I will. Okay.
I may be there.
Thank you.